Hello there, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, the internet, and the like, and welcome back to Team Fortress 2. Today I have a double-sided defense gameplay, starting off as a soldier with the buff banner, and later on I switch over to the engineer. Both on defense, as I just said, and today we are playing on a custom map. And some people might already recognize this map. This map is indeed the map that was initially promised for the latest Team Fortress 2 update, which was the huge end-of-the-line community update. Talking about this was pretty inevitable. I had to get to this at some point, so last evening, Mage said, look, we should go play some CP Snowplow. This map is pretty rad, so Mage is today. He's playing a little bit of Medic on me in the first round, and I believe he switches to Pyro in the second round, but you'll occasionally see him healing me with the Vaccinator. So, to talk a bit about this map, unfortunately, it was not added to with the update, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows this already. This map was initially promised to appear in the end-of-the-line update, but unfortunately, it was incomplete, but that is not quite the reason as to why it was not added to the game. Simply put, this map was just completely disregarded because Valve said it was too complicated. Now, the stories I've heard about end-of-the-line's development phase is, back then in the first early development testing, the map itself did have a few confusing attributes and mechanics, but now it is pretty simple. In fact, this map I found is a lot easier to understand than Robot Destruction Doomsday, and I'd say it's twice more impressive, despite the fact that this is pretty much a rehash of control point maps, which I generally prefer over Capture the Flag, so that makes it like 3 times better than Doomsday. So let's get into what exactly is going on this map right now. So I'm playing on defense right now. The way things are set up is that at the very beginning of the round, this odd little sort of bomb cart appears and it rolls right out of the map to a certain point, and there are 3 control points on each map. Blue team has to capture the control point to allow the train to advance, and between these 34-second intervals the red team has to defend, and between these intervals 10% of the train's health is lost, depending on what trap is set up. And I didn't really check and see if the animations were actually working for these traps. I'm pretty sure they are because this is the latest beta, but somebody else could probably clarify this for me. Maybe later when I check it out, I'll probably put an annotation in the video somewhere. But yeah, every time the blue team manages to successfully capture a point, the train gets 10% health back. And the way it works is that this is actually a double-staged control point map, so it starts off in this more snowy, sort of alpine-like map, and then it moves on to a much warmer setting in the second stage. It's sort of akin to Dust Bowl, but again, much more better than that map, much like Robot Destruction, how this is just better than that in general. And I don't really see how this is complicated to understand. It's a very simple process. The blue team just caps the points, and then the train gets a little bit of health back, but the longer the red team defends, the less health that the train basically keeps. So it can be a little bit harsh on red team depending on what you're fighting against. During the first phase, we didn't really have any engineers, but I decided to go engineer for the second map, and it pretty much all worked out in the end. We actually do lose the first stage, but it gave us a good opportunity to check out stage 2, which I think I can appreciate a little bit more than stage 1, but overall, this design of this map is really, really cool. Like, I'd say that it looks a little rough around the edges. There are certain spots where you feel as though there should be a few objects. Like, again, this was still in beta by the time it was released, and servers are officially running it right now. Like, not official Valve servers, but community servers. So, if you can find a decent server that's actually running Snowplow, please do give it a try, because this is definitely a really, really impressive setting. And the flow of the map, I'd say it might be more open for testing, but as a first experience, I genuinely had a much better time than playing any of the beta maps that Valve has ever added for community testing, and I'm really sad to see that this one didn't get in. And I guess that sort of segues us into the next point, the next topic of this video, which is going to be why Valve made the decision. And I'm gonna be honest, I kept my expectations low for this update. Like, a lot of TF2 updates, I don't really hold my expectations very high. I don't really want to be extremely wowed or amazed, and I don't want to have this sort of, oh, I knew this was going to be amazing attitude by the time this update came along. I just kept my cool, and I figured, okay, when it comes, and we'll see what it's like by the time it's released. And the update itself, I was disappointed by, but not to a major degree where I just started complaining to Valve and saying, oh, you messed up so bad. I really wish people would stop complaining. Like, honestly, I don't agree with Valve's decisions, but I still love them as a company because they've already made a lot of good decisions, and who knows, maybe because this map is incomplete, it could be possible that they're still working on finishing the development of it. Maybe they're adding a few touches here or there, or maybe they're possibly redesigning it. I don't know what goes on behind the big curtain at Valve, but if what they say is true, that they're not adding this map because it's too complicated, then that's that. We're just going to have to move on from that topic and wait and see what the next updates hold. So, I am disappointed with the end of the line update, not so much as most other people. I mean, we got crates, we got more hats, and you can also buy these little ducks, which give you duck streaks, I guess, and occasionally Marasmus will shout out to the audience, bonus ducks, and I don't get the thing about the ducks, like, it's probably just the latest obsession since bread, so whatever Valve has in store for us, it probably has something to do with the Great Duck Takeover, I'm just going to call it that, and yeah, for the most part, you should probably just go ahead and try CP Snowplow, because I never really got a chance to try out Snowplow. I was waiting for it to be added in the update, but of course, since that never happened, I got my first experience here in these two parts of the gameplay, and I have to say, I really am impressed by this. I cannot stress enough how awesome, like, this map truly is, and just the flow of everything, being on defense, was a lot of fun. In terms of offense, well, I didn't really get any gameplays doing that, and that was mostly because we were having a bit of a difficult time with our team setup, but so far, I'd say that it was a success. I really did enjoy this map, and we're just going to talk a bit about this second part of the gameplay, of course, where I'm playing as an engineer on the second stage, and this sentry spot is covering the very first control point. It's a very basic concept. This room that I'm sitting in where I have my nest set up has a bunch of different routes of which the enemy can flank you. Like, first of all, you have to make sure that your window section area is covered, and this sentry does a lot of cleanup. This is actually a pretty clever location for what it was worth. You have to worry about those stairs that are to the right of me and that little window entrance to the right, and also to the left of me is another doorway, which I don't believe blue team can actually access. I believe that's a balcony that's mostly restricted to reds, but it's a pretty safe area, I would reckon. Like, if you try standing next to the door that's to the left, there's actually a really good vantage point where snipers could actually get you, and I didn't really realize this until halfway through the round, I would say, so it was a little bit of a risky maneuver standing there, but thankfully I did not get killed. I only got killed once during this entire gameplay, and we still won, so let's just quickly go over what's going on right now. So you can see the timer is running down, and the train has 60% health. I'm not really sure if, like, the health translates from the previous map. Like, maybe the blue team had a little bit of the train health lost from the previous instance, so it might have started off with, like, 80%, and possibly 90% if I recall correctly. But as you can see, once the timer counts down, and once the trap basically starts destroying part of the car, that's the train car that holds all the explosives, that's going to destroy the orphanage, the adoption center, and the kitten orphanage, and the kid adoption center, basically all that stuff, then it loses 10% of its health, which is pretty simple to understand. Again, like, this is all you really need to know, is that you're just going to be playing CP maps, except you have to worry about making sure you have to worry about the blue team capturing the points. That's all that needs to be said. I don't know where I was going with that. Like, the train itself is not like a payload cart. You don't need to push it. It rolls automatically. And it might not be the most, like, original concept, but it's definitely a good modification of the previous control point concept. So nothing too worrisome about that. It was around this part of the gameplay, or getting close to that thereof, where the snipers actually decided to start picking off at my sentry, which, in this spot, actually caught a lot of people off guard, and maybe I could have moved it around a little bit, but you'd be surprised how well this little window, this sentry window, just actually covers. So I'm not really sure where the snipers were actually firing from, but they were definitely trying their darn hardest, as you can see, because in just a minute here, like, eventually my sentry just starts to take damage after it gets around 10 kills, maybe 11, and it does come close to a pretty close match, and I thought we were going to lose the first control point. Like, it starts off with this demo barging in and trying to land a few grenades onto my nest. Thankfully, it was not that successful. However, this is where the snipers start to appear. So I'm looking around. I realize I shouldn't stand there. That's probably where I can be picked off. Sentry gets another kill. I'm just looking around to make sure that spy doesn't show up. And then the snipers start doing battle against my inanimate object. Or mostly inanimate. Like, it's not mobile, but it's definitely animate because it can shoot rockets and bullets and stuff like that. Anyway, Sentry starts going under fire, and I'm desperately trying to keep it alive with the Rescue Ranger. And the Rescue Ranger is really handy, but unfortunately, it still only has 4 shots. And finally, my nest goes down. But this is pretty much going to be wrapping up the gameplay. If you have not yet tried out CP Snowplow, I recommend you check out one of your local community servers. See, there's plenty of servers that are currently hosting this right now, and I'm really hoping that this map will continue to be updated, because I'm not really too big on custom maps, but I've definitely made an exception for this, because this just had me impressed all the way through. I'm probably going to be doing maybe a few more gameplays of it in the future. I might just play it casually. Anyway, that concludes the gameplay. Top score, defended the point, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little overview of what End of the Line was like, and I do hope this map gets accepted into Valve Team Fortress 2 official eventually, because I would really appreciate it if Valve did that. I'm sure the community as a whole would appreciate it. But until then, thank you guys very much for watching, have a great day or evening, and I guess I will see you in the next video.